Hey guys, it is NCS Fan 001 here for another one of those weekly Tuesday Trophy Talk Trophy List updates, whatever you wish to call it. Anyway, today's date is Tuesday, June the 24th of 2025. So this will have covered the week of June the 17th through the 23rd of 2025. Man, this month's gone by pretty quickly. A lot of this year has gone by quite quickly. I mean, already halfway through the year, it's kind of crazy. But anyways, in today's update, we have 3 different games to talk about, so might not be as long as some of the more recent ones have been. So we're going to start out with some Resident Evil 7 Biohazard for the PS5. So in a previous week, I was able to auto-pop quite a few of these trophies just by loading into the game for the first time and having some well-placed saves. Now in the past week, not only did I get probably the worst trophy in the game done, which we'll talk about that later, but I also managed to obtain the Platinum Trophy, which only required one more playthrough and some save reloading, and then we were good to go. So Resident Evil 7 is not an overly difficult Platinum by any means. It's not the easiest one in the franchise either, but it's definitely not the hardest one at all. So, with this trophy list, you're going to get several trophies. Everything through this Into the Depths trophy, all these bronzes up here, are going to be story-related and unmissable, and they will all auto-pop, which is great, as long as you load in your save from the other version. Then you have 2 different ending trophies, ending 1 and 2. Ending 1 is the canon ending, the one that makes the most sense, because you save the person that you would think you would want to be saving when you get the opportunity to do so, versus ending 2, you save the person that you would not think you would be trying to save in this situation. Now, these trophies don't auto-pop, but if you have a save right before the end of the game, you can technically just play the last few minutes of the game and pop them that way. So do keep that in mind if you really want to try to get through this quickly. Then you have 3 difficulty trophies for beating the game on the different difficulties. I believe these did stack in the PS4 version and probably stack here. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I assume that they do. So, easy mode is just typical easy difficulty, normal is your medium, and Madhouse is your hardest difficulty. It's not professional in this game. Madhouse isn't awful. It's got a few tricky parts to it, but as long as you have the circular saw, which I think you get from maybe the speedrun, which you can do first, I think as long as you do that, or it's one of the other potentially things, I can't remember exactly what it is, but I think it's from like speedrunning the game previously in under 4 hours. But if you have the circular saw, it makes Madhouse a lot easier because it's basically an infinite ammo. Well, not infinite ammo because it's a melee weapon that's very, very powerful. But all 3 of those trophies auto-pop if you've already done them on the PS4 version. Then we start getting into the miscellaneous trophies, and I will say what I said before, that this game's auto-popping setup makes absolutely no sense as to what auto-pops and what doesn't. Like most of the story trophies auto-pop, but not the ending trophies. And then some of the miscellaneous trophies auto-pop, but other ones don't. And there's like no real consistency to it. Because like some of them are just for using items or getting kills in certain ways. And some of each of those types auto-pop, some of them don't. It makes absolutely no sense. I really don't get it. But anyways, with the miscellaneous trophies, close an open door by yourself. I think you just have to either double hit X on it or just walk into it from the opposite direction so it closes. Either way, you'll get that naturally. Then block an enemy attack by guarding, that's your L1 button. It's quite useful, especially on like Madhouse difficulty, so that one should come naturally. Closely examine an item. I think this one's unmissable because I think that you need to do this several times to get key items for the story. Then using a lockpick to open something. I don't think this one's missable, or if it is missable, it would be extremely difficult to miss because there are quite a few lockpicks throughout the game and you have to use them to, well, pick certain locks to get certain items. Then, nice try. This one's pretty easy to do as long as you know it's there. Just try to put something that doesn't need to go on one of those shadow plinth puzzles. Just put something else there, and it'll unlock it right there, so very easy. Then the Psychostimulants trophy, so just use Psychostimulants one time at any point in the game, and you will get that trophy. You get plenty of those throughout it. In the bag, increase your item slots. For some reason, this is not one of the ones that auto-pops, but for that one, all you have to do is just find one of the backpacks throughout the game, and there's several of them that you can use to upgrade your inventory, so just find one of them, and then collect it, and that will count for this trophy. Then things got personal, finish off an enemy with a knife. So just kill an enemy with a knife. I mean, people have probably beaten this game using a knife only at this point. I'm sure that like Dante or some of the other people have managed to do that at some point. Slashy slash, slashity slash. I don't even think I said that exactly correct. Clear insects off a door using a knife. This one can be done when you get out to that like greenhouse or area, I think is what it's called, outside of the main mansion. Or house, it's not really a mansion, but out there you can clear out that stuff while you're dealing with Marguerite inside of that old house. So that's a good place to get it. Just note that you'll probably take damage while doing so. Then the fight off Marguerite while she wanders the old house and make her run away actually auto-pops, but certain other combat trophies, one that we're going to see here in a second, doesn't auto-pop. Again, it makes absolutely no sense. There's no logic behind exactly what pops and what doesn't. Basically, with this one, when you're in the old house, wait for Marguerite to find you, and then just shoot her enough times until she leaves, or hit her with a melee weapon enough until she leaves. Then ducking under Jack's scissor attack. This one is done, I believe, in the second Jack fight, not the one where you're in the garage, but the one where you're in the cage underground, I think is where you get this one at. It's not too hard to do, and you'll probably get it naturally. Then 2 enemies with 1 shot. This one's a little bit tougher to do until you get like a slightly more powerful weapon, like one of the shotguns or something. You probably won't be able to do it with a pistol. You might be able to do it with a magnum, but I'm not 100% sure. I mean, I'm sure there's probably a way to, because there's not a ton of enemies in this game. It's not as big in fighting enemies as some of the other games in the series are. Then that's a spicy meatball. That is one of the ones that does not auto-pop. It was one of the last ones I got on my cleanup playthrough. You can't get this until pretty late in the game. In fact, I think the only place you can get this might be when you're in the old ship when you're playing as Mia during the flashback sequence. So you can get it there. It's very easy to do, but that one does not auto-pop. Then create all the different items that contain chem fluid or strong chem fluid. There's maybe like 7-ish total items. It's not a ton. And that one did auto-pop for me, but some people apparently have it not unlocked for them. And I think it's actually the same way with the Psychostimulants trophy. At least 1 or 2 people have had trouble with getting that one to pop. So then we have a couple of the videotape trophies, although Be Kind, Please Rewind does auto-pop for watching all of the videotapes in a single playthrough, but these 2 miscellaneous ones do not auto-pop because, again, it makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. So the Mia videotape is pretty straightforward, just avoid being seen by Marguerite, and you can play the videotape as many times as you need to, so it's really not any sort of big issue. If you are struggling with it for any reason, just pull up a guide. And then Out Before Dessert is the Happy Birthday minigame videotape, and once you know what to do, you can do it in like 2 to 3 minutes. It's really not that bad, like probably 3-ish minutes. So it's really not too bad once you know what to do. It only took me 2 tries. First try to remember what to do in it, and then second try to actually get it. So don't worry too much about those, and again, you can play that one as many times as you need to as well. Then we have the Antique Coins. These are collectibles that are exclusive to the Easy Normal playthrough, and then a different set that's exclusive to the Madhouse mode. And there actually are different amounts of them depending on the difficulty, and they are in different places. Because this game actually changes up a number of things when you're playing on Madhouse. It changes up some of the puzzles and item locations, I believe. It changes up the way some of the enemies and the bosses function. And it also changes up where those antique coins are, and you also have to get a lot more of them to get everything, all the extra rewards in that version, because the antique coins are used to open a handful of cages, like bird cages that have special items in them. And then you also have to read all of the files in a single playthrough. There are quite a few of those. I don't remember exactly how many there are. There are quite a few, but as long as you follow a guide, you shouldn't have a problem. Just keep in mind it all has to be done in one playthrough, and some areas become inaccessible once you get far enough in the game. Then you have the Mr. Everywhere statues. There's maybe about 20 or so of those. It might be more than that. You have to shoot or knife them to destroy them, and you have to hit all of them, but I don't know if that carries over between playthroughs or not. And then you have a few full game speedrun trophies, because all those collectibles actually auto-popped. So you have a few full game spanning trophies, and one of them does auto-pop. The other 2 do not unless you have a save in the right place. So the Complete the Game in Under 4 Hours does auto-pop, which is cool, but it's really not that hard. You can definitely do it in like under 3 hours if you really know what you're doing. And then Resource Manager and Walk It Off do not auto-pop, but I actually had my save from the very end of the playthrough, which was also the ending number 1 as well, so I was able to pop those very early on in my sort of platinum journey, thanks to that well-placed save that I didn't even know I had. Not opening the item box more than 3 times is a bit annoying because there are 3 times where it's mandatory to open the item box, so you really can't use it any extra times. The healing really isn't that bad, though, because you are still allowed to use the steroids, because those not only fully heal you, but they also give you more health in total. And you are allowed to use all 4 of those, so just rely on using those whenever you need it. Play on the easy difficulty. You shouldn't have too many problems with it. So yeah, that is the Platinum Trophy, and now we get into the DLCs. We're actually going to come back to Banned Footage Volume 1. I want to come back to that one in a little while. Banned Footage Volume 2, this is 21 Daughters and Jack's 55th birthday. I already had all the trophies done in this one, but 21 is fairly easy. It's just teaching you how to play the little mini game. 21 Survival isn't too bad. You just have to beat 5 opponents in a row when you have 5 total health. Still not too bad, just be a little bit more careful with it, but it's good practice for 21 Survival Plus, which is still one of the worst modes ever put into a Resident Evil game. Though, arguably not the worst mode, and we'll be talking about that one in just a few moments. I played a little bit of 21 Survival Plus just out of a promise to the chat once I got through the worst, or arguably worst trophy in the game, and admittedly, it went reasonably well. I wasn't trying that hard, and I still made it to the 5th opponent without really trying significantly all that hard, so it's very RNG dependent, though, because sometimes you will just get terrible, terrible trump cards, and sometimes you'll be stuck fighting the tougher opponents. Like, it's completely random as to what you get at any given time, so you can know how to play it and play it perfectly and still lose if the game just doesn't want you to win. And that one's also very annoying because a single run can easily last well over an hour and still fail on, like, the last opponent. But thankfully, all 3 of those trophies auto-pop. Then the 2 Daughters trophies also both auto-pop. For those, you just have to get the 2 different endings in it. Each playthrough can be done in like 20-25 minutes, so don't worry too much about those. And then you have the Jack's 55th birthday game mode, which is where you go in as Mia and you have to bring food to Jack repeatedly, and that's really all you have to do. It's pretty straightforward. I mean, well, not really straightforward because there's a lot more to it with the amount of combinations of food you can make and stuff like that. But the 10-minute time bonus isn't too hard once you know what to do and know the strategy of using the certain, like, red and blue pistols and the time-boosting items. I did it in one of the ones when you're in, like, the factory setting. And then the feeding all of the different types of food to him actually auto-pops for whatever reason. That one does, but the other 2 don't. And then getting the S rank or higher. This one is a semi-auto-pop. It doesn't immediately unlock, but if you get an S rank one more time, it will auto-pop. So thankfully I only had to do one more to get that one. End of Zoey we're not quite done with yet, so you have to beat it on easier, normal, and then beat it again on Joe Must Die difficulty, which is one of the more challenging trophies in the game, because that mode is not really easy, because you really have a limited, it's very supply limited type of mode. It's not quite as bad as Ethan Must Die, I would say, but it is one where you can end up failing pretty easily and dying quite a bit. But you can save during it at least, which is nice. So you do that, then you have to do an extreme challenge, which that trophy actually auto-pops. And then these first 2 trophies, they do not auto-pop, but they actually did unlock because I had a save at the very end of my Joe Must Die playthrough, so I just had to beat the final boss one more time, which wasn't too bad because I had the energy gauntlet thingy. Then the 4-hit combo is pretty easy. You can do that like right at the beginning of the level, no problem. And then stealth kill 5 enemies. I think I've killed like 4 so far in my playthrough where I'm working on this End of Zoey on normal or Joe Must Die with no weapons. This trophy isn't too bad because you have access potentially to that double gauntlet by this point. And the double gauntlet makes life significantly easier because you can just punch your way through almost everything. About the only tricky parts are the alligators that can sometimes be troublesome. So nothing too bad with that. Just, I mean, keep in mind there might be a few times where you struggle a little bit. And then Not a Hero, both of those trophies auto-pop. They're just for beating it on easier normal and then beating it again on professional. Nothing insane about that, not extremely time-consuming. Couple of tough parts to it, but nothing much more else to worry about. So now we can go back to Banned Footage Volume 1. Nightmare auto-pops, which is kind of nice. Both bedroom trophies are super easy if you follow a guide, so I'm not worried about those. Night Terror is not easy, necessarily, but it's not too hard. If you have some idea of what you're doing and get a little bit of practice in, you shouldn't have too many serious issues with it. And if for whatever reason you are really struggling with it, you can grind to a total of 10 million score and you'll have access to infinite ammo, which would make it a joke. But Ethan Must Die. This trophy was something. It's going to be the first time I've ever made a video based off of one single trophy, like a full-length trophy video, based off of one single trophy, because it was one of the most miserable experiences in recent gaming for me. Now, you see, the problem with it is that the Ethan Must Die mode is a permadeath mode, where you have to get through a shortened version of the game without ever dying, and you die usually in one hit, sometimes in 2 hits, unless you have certain items. And it's not a particularly long level. Speedrunners can do it in under 10 minutes if they know what they're really doing, so it took me 26 minutes on my successful attempt, and you can definitely do it faster. But the big problem, and another thing about it, is that the enemies are in the same place every time. The enemies are always in the exact same place. The turrets and traps are always in the exact same places. And you can use those turrets and traps to kill a majority of the enemies for you throughout this. So once you sort of get the strategy down, you do still need to be fairly skilled to be able to get through it because you're so limited on supplies and on inventory space because you can't get any inventory upgrades. You just have that base, like, 12 square inventory segment. The big issue with this not only is the permadeath and dying in like one hit most of the time, but it's the fact that the items you get are completely random on every single playthrough. And for those who watched the live streams, you saw just how much this game hated me and how many times I basically got completely screwed by getting terrible, terrible items. There was one run when I got the walking shoes, which is objectively one of the worst items in the game, except it comes out of a 4-star chest, which is even more insulting. I got that twice in a single run because the game hated me. I got the secrets or essence of defense maybe 3 total times out of the 29 attempts that it took, because yeah, it took 29 attempts to get through over the course of like 4 nights. So I only got that one like 3 times. I got the Magnum a few times. And I had some luck with the shotguns. I had one run where I had like 600 burner fuel, but got killed by something that was kind of BS-y toward the end before I could get to the final boss fight. Had a couple of times where I got to the final boss fight and still lost, even though I was playing it correctly. I would just end up dying because she would get somehow, I guess, close enough to me to kill me in one hit, even if I was guarding. And the actual successful run, I'm going to splice in a clip of it here, was insane how close it was. Like, that could not have come down any more to the wire, the literal wire. Or I shoot it. Yes! There we go. Is she dead? It's done. It's done. It's done. With my last bullet. It's done. Holy shit, it's done. So yeah, that was a terrible, terrible experience. I hated almost every second of it, because so many times I knew exactly what to do, but would get screwed over because the game didn't want me to win and would just give me terrible items, or would just randomly let the enemies do something a little bit different every now and then, or be a little bit more aggressive, or do a little bit more damage. And now I officially have proof of games like just hating me in general. And I joke about that sometimes, that they're sentient, or that games will sometimes just really not be fair to me compared to a lot of other people out there. But I think those streams should serve as actual, like, documented evidence that games are not always particularly fair to me. But thank God we got through it. Thank you guys so much for the support, especially on those last couple of streams where I was just basically suffering through this for 5 straight hours over the course of 2 nights, but we did eventually beat it. So everything that's left in this game really isn't that hard. I'm not really worried about any of it. Just might take me the rest of this week to get through. Then we have Minecraft Set 2, because Minecraft just got another DLC number 20. It's very, very easy, and you can do it in a trophy world just like you can all the other ones. I don't even think this one would be all that bad to do out in like a normal world. I think you just have to go into the nether to get the dried ghast, either by like finding it or trading for it. and then you just have to put it into water, and that's all you have to do. So you just take it back out to the overworld, put it in some water, and you're done. So it seems like it's actually a pretty easy trophy to do normally, but if you go to a trophy world, you can knock it out even more easily. And with that, one of a little over 1,000 people to actually do everything with Minecraft right now on the PS4 version. So yeah, that's pretty cool. I'll eventually do the PS5 version once they stop releasing DLCs for the PS4 version, whenever that ends up happening. And then finally, I got started on Indiana Jones and the Staff of Kings, the PS5 version of the game. It plays identically to the PS4 version, just the only difference is that this time I actually know what to do most of the time, so I know how to get through the puzzles and stuff a lot faster. So within just one afternoon, I got through the first 3 levels of the game and got all the trophies in them. So each level you get 1 trophy for finishing it that's unmissable, 1 trophy for collecting all the artifacts, of which there can be anywhere from like 2 artifacts in the final level, because there's only 6 levels, to like 12 artifacts, I think it is, in Istanbul, which is the next level. And then each level also has 1 miscellaneous trophy. The plane one is a little bit annoying because the machine gun is not really all that effective on the plane and the flight controls aren't the best. The throwing 25 combat items is super easy because there's dozens of them in this level. And then this Panama one, you just have to hit a switch in one specific room and you get it. So other than that, we still have the remaining 3 levels, which Istanbul is an extremely long level. The sword one's at the very end. Nepal is a bit shorter and it only has a few collectibles in it. The final battle isn't too bad overall. Even getting through it without taking damage really isn't that bad once you know what to do. And then you just have to view everything in the extras menu and then complete any level with the big heads attachment on, which I'll probably do for level 4 when I go to that in the very near future. So yeah, that's really all you have to do. Straightforward, simple game, just not one of those that has aged particularly well. But you do have the rewind feature, which makes everything a lot easier. So with that, level 952%, 30,571 total trophies, 883 platinums, 5,910 golds, 8,224 silvers, 15,554 bronzes. So, plans for the upcoming week. I don't know exactly what I'm going to be streaming this week because getting through Resident Evil 7, I got through it, so I don't really know what I want to play next. I don't immediately want to jump into Resident Evil Village. I'll be doing that one at some point in the future, and I also don't know if I'm even going to fully stream the entirety of that because there's so many collectibles and missable stuff you have to do in it. And I have no experience with it compared to Resident Evil 7, but we will figure that out at some future point. Otherwise, I don't know, like I said, exactly what I'm going to play, but I'll find something several days this week to play. The College Football 25 video is coming along, the script is written, the initial editing's done, so I'm going to record the script right after this and start editing that part down. Might get that one out by the end of the week. If not, it should be out next week, which is always good. Get that one uploaded. Excited for that one because it was a lot of fun, and College Football 26 is coming out very soon. So, well, it was fun aside from the online portion, which, of course, we'll get to that in the video. Other than that, I'll hopefully finish up Resident Evil 7 and Indiana Jones's PS5 versions, and then we'll just figure out what else we want to play. And I'll be working on editing the College Football video. Stream schedule should be pretty normal this week. I'll probably start working on the Resident Evil 7 single trophy video sometime pretty soon as well because, there's not going to be a ton of editing required for that one, mostly just showing every time that things go horribly wrong and maybe a montage of being do not give me the effing walking shoes again, and then it just gives me the walking shoes or the x-ray glasses or something like that. So yeah, don't know exactly what it'll look like this week, but it'll probably be something along those lines. Death Stranding 2 looks really, really good, and apparently it's getting complete universal acclaim right now. So that's exciting. I might have to play that one sooner rather than later. I know it's an easy platinum because PowerPix already has a guide for it, just time-consuming. And then there's always the chance that at some random point in time in the future, one of the old classics games might get a trophy list, like the other Thrillville or another Lego game or something like that. So we will have to see about all of that. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed, go and leave a like, subscribe, ring the bell if you haven't done so already. Let me know down in the comments what kind of progress you made in this past week, or if any game has particularly tried to screw you over the way that Resident Evil 7 was going for me. And yeah, I will see you guys back here real soon for the next video and stream.